Hi everyone, it's Brenda again with another episode of Three Uniques. I'm really excited to introduce you to Kalyn Ponti. Hi Kalyn, how you doing?
Hey Brenda, good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. We haven't connected in a while, so this is just also a really fun opportunity to get reconnected after all these years. So Kalyn, just so everyone knows, is the Chief Operating Officer at Humankind, which is an HR agency firm in Wellington, New Zealand. So she's based out of New Zealand, which is super exciting. Kalyn, do you want to share a little bit more about yourself with everyone?
Yes, so I am Canadian, originally from Vancouver, where I had the pleasure of meeting and working with Brenda. And a little bit about me, you know what I do for work, but I absolutely love traveling and exploring, which is how I ended up here in New Zealand. Met my husband Ed in Brazil. And of course, he ended up moving to Canada, and then adventure called, and we moved over to New Zealand. Love spending time with friends and family, and exercising, running. That's a great way to clear my head. And as you said, for work, I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Humankind.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about Humankind. What sort of work do you focus in on for your clients?
Yes, so we are all about bringing humanity to work and helping organizations build great employee experiences. So really working with organizations to understand what are their objectives and what is it that they're trying to achieve. And then we look at what does that mean from a people perspective. So what kind of experiences, what culture needs to be created, and what people strategy do you need in place. So that could be everything from talent acquisition, performance, culture, leadership development, and then all the way to your purpose experiences, your relationship experiences, enabling experiences, etc.
Awesome. I remember when I saw on LinkedIn you had moved into that type of work, and I was really excited for you because you were always such a strong leader. Well, you are a strong leader, but from us working together, I always remember you to be such a strong leader, great people developer, and also great, culture shifter in the organization. Like we had worked at Aritzia, retail company based out of Vancouver. You were working in Vancouver, but as well also Edmonton in Alberta. And yeah, you're really strong at growing people, attracting great talent, retaining them. So it's great that you're now able to specialize in that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, in my role as chief ops, or kind of those general management positions, I find everyone has kind of a different style. I've always been really passionate that people are the key to that success, and that's kind of my strength and skill set. So really excited now to use those skills in an organization that is committed and dedicated to helping organizations build great teams.
Awesome. So Kalyn, you're here today to share your three uniques with us. So I'm excited. Let's hear them.
Yeah. Okay. My three uniques. Here they are. So number one is I am quite affiliative and empathetic, so place a ton of value on relationships, as I mentioned earlier, really achievement driven and kind of self-actualizing. And then third would be I'm quite a sound decision maker.
Amazing. So how did you come up with those? Like, how did you arrive at that? Have you always known that about yourself? Or when I reached out to you to do this video cast with me, you were like, okay, now I need to think about these things. I'm just curious what your approach was.
Yeah, it's such a good question. And you approaching me about this has been quite timely because it's been quite a challenging couple of years for me personally. Like many people, it's just been such a challenging year. But my husband, Ed, has had some really serious health issues to the point where last year we actually thought that he might not make it. And so, yeah, it's been challenging, and I've had to really kind of dig to the deepest depths, and so there's been so many learnings personally and professionally. And I think the biggest thing for me is that I've learned that you really need to put in the work, in terms of coming up with your three uniques, because all those things that happen to us personally, they really impact your confidence as well, right? And everyone has a story. But for me, moving to a different country, leaving a job that I learned that I actually really identified with, that organization and that job, your friends, your family, all your rocks, and then coming into a really challenging personal scenario, it really rocked my confidence. And so I learned that you really need to put in the work. So kind of how I've come up with my 3 uniques has been really over the last year. And so a lot of reflection. I've really learned that you need to create headspace for thinking. You can't always just be so busy doing things. You need to create headspace and time to cultivate that sense of self and confidence. And then practically, there's also some great tools that I've been exposed to recently. Things like Strength Finders, and Human-Centered Logistics does something called the Learning Styles Inventory. And so there's some great objective tools and agnostics that you can use to get some feedback on your strengths.
Awesome. Yeah, I've used Strength Finders as well as Standout. Marcus Buckingham was using and promoting a lot about Standout at the beginning of COVID to really help people and help them position themselves as they were looking for new opportunities. But before we continue on, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry to hear about your husband, Ed. I hope that things are recovering in the right course and that you guys are able to, get your lives back on track as best you can. I mean, this year also has been a bit of a curveball for a lot of people. So yeah.
Thank you. Happy to report that he's doing very well.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. So let's go in a little bit deeper on your 3 uniques. So can you take it back up to the top and share your first one with us again?
Yeah, so the first one is affiliative and empathetic. So I place a lot of value on my relationships, my friends and family, and I didn't actually really realize that was a strength. But I care really deeply about how people feel. And because of that, I tend to ask a lot of questions. I'll think about it and then I'll ask people questions and really, really understand and care about their point of view. And I then enjoy supporting people and supporting them to achieve their goals, whether that be working through personal things, whether that be at work professionally and their development, whether it be clients achieving what they want to do. Yeah.
Do you find that that's really helpful for you in your business? Just being able to work with clients and, leading your teams and working with them hands-on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's more and more of an awareness now that empathy in leadership makes a big difference, right? We're all humans. Gone are the days where, people come in and are treated as resources and commodities. We're all individual humans. And now, this year more than ever has taught us that there's some real things going on. And, if you treat people like people, then, you're far, far more likely to get stronger outcomes as an organization as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, we've talked about this year already being a toll on people. This year is definitely a testament to leadership teams that are out there that are putting, people-centered or heart-centered leadership first on their agenda.
Yeah. And even at more of a systemic level, human-centered design, right, is becoming more and more accepted. It's been used in software, SaaS companies for a long time. But, we use it when we're designing people solutions, right? You start with that empathy. So really start by gaining deep insight and understanding for us organizations, but also employees, right? How are employees thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing? So that's how it relates in a work setting as well. And then from there, when you have that strong understanding, you can define the problem and then come up with solutions that actually work. And then when people have been heard and have had a say, right, they're also far more engaged and bought in.
Yeah. Bought in and wanting to help, rolling to roll up their sleeves. It's you listen to me. And so, I definitely want to help you with that or be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I think that empathy and genuinely deeply caring about people and caring about relationships, when you have relationships at work and people know that you care about them, as a person, absolutely, I think it helps. Yeah.
Okay. And your second unique?
My second unique is a really strong sense of achievement and self-actualization. So I thrive off excellence and being great. So if you have me on a team, you know, failure is just not an option. I'll keep going until we get a great result. And that served me really well. And, you know, I have a lot of people to thank for helping to foster that within me. But yeah, I think, yeah, it's something that served me really well throughout my career and that I really have come to value in myself now.
Amazing. So you brought up the point about failure, and that failure is not really sort of an option for you. So when you're pushing for that result and maybe not getting it, like you've tried like the 5th time, the 6th time. So how do you spend some time thinking about, hey, you know what, we didn't meet that goal, we didn't meet that objective. How do you get stronger or pull yourself out to like go back at it again?
Yeah, there's a few, it's such a good question. There's a few things that I've learned and adopted over the last few years or throughout my life. One I mentioned earlier, really creating more headspace and time. So I've really built in a practice of more reflection. So I think a lot about work, but also if it's a medical battle that I'm fighting, or helping, you know, a family member with something, or even just my own self-development, which is really important to me. Carving out time to actually really think and reflect. So whether that be going for a run, or if it's journaling, or if it's a session with someone else for the core purpose of looking at where are we at now, where am I trying to get to, let's brainstorm what are all the possible ways, and really creating that time. And that clarity has really helped in terms of that kind of that sense of achievement. And if there's failure, it's like, okay, you know, what else do we need to do? The second thing is really bringing other people in. You know, it's, I have definitely fallen down the trap of trying to do things on my own. But it's just the load lightens when you bring people in to help you, you know, and people are flattered. And time and time again, I'm just so astounded by the different perspectives that people bring, and the ideas that come, and the energy that comes, and one can spark the next, so that's something that I really value as well, is collaborating and bringing other people in on the problem.
Okay, awesome. And your third unique?
Yeah, so my third was around decision making, and kind of that sound judgment. It's not even something that I really identified with until a few years ago, and really came into play in COVID, when us as an organization, we were making decisions on how we would carry forward, and also again, you know, the medical decisions. But I'm a very considered person, and I think my other strengths around, you know, relationships and empathy, and that kind of sense of achievement play into this. The outcome is good decisions, because I spend a lot of time, naturally, because I genuinely care about people. I ask what other people think and ask for their views, and so I'll very rarely make a decision like that. I'll incorporate the views of others. I've taken that time to reflect. I care a lot about doing a great job. Yeah, and then so one of the outcomes is that with all that information, I'm able to make really strong, considered decisions.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So my next question is for you, is in relation to your 3 uniques, but also just who you are as a leader. What are some things that you do to ground yourself, to keep yourself like really whole, complete, you know, unwavering, as much as possible? I mean, there's a lot of things that have tested probably that this year, and maybe from the sounds of it, even last year for you personally with your family. So what are some things that you do to ground yourself as a leader?
Yeah, a lot. So first, like as a leader, like personally, you know, I mean, I know that you and I share this trait, you know, you care a lot about work and doing a great job at work. So it's easy to pour, you know, a lot into work. And again, just these last few years have really taught me that you do need to take care of yourself too. And so physically, I've always been really active. That's kind of been instilled through family values. And now I find that that's a really important part of my ongoing routine. You know, if I haven't kept up with my runs, then I feel it, you know. So just really sticking with that program because I know it works for me. It helps to create that headspace that I find is really important. And we know all the physical benefits, endorphins going and stress relief, all those really important things. But I've also really learned that you need to work on your mind, just like you exercise your body, you need to work on your mind. And I wasn't good at that until a couple of years ago. So I journal in the mornings, and even if it's just for 5 minutes, I'll write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, 3 positive affirmations to really help cultivate that sense of confidence, and then 3 intentions for the day. And that's something that I really value. And it's funny, when I slip off, if I go on holiday or something like that, when I slip off, I think, oh, it's not a big deal. And then I feel things creeping in, right? Like, okay, need to bring it back. So journaling, yeah. And then yoga has actually worked really well for me. I've always been quite active, and so thought, oh, yoga, I can get a way better workout in that hour. But I actually look at it more as an investment in myself and my mind. And it's a way that for me, I can actually force myself to slow down, switch off, and get some of that headspace and clarity. And it's just really worked wonders.
Yeah. And working some different muscles. Like you said, it's, you know, it's working the brain, which is, you know, it's a muscle, it's a tissue, it's, you know, it's just like your legs, and that from that standpoint, it gives you a sense of power. And also your breath, your breathing. And monitoring that, which is huge.
Breathing, huge, yeah. And then lastly, I also have a therapist that has been really helpful. Yeah, just really having someone that you can talk to and not feel guilty about talking about yourself for the whole time. That can be an objective sounding board. It's made a huge difference for me.
I think that's so important. And, you know, it's something, it's, first of all, I'd say it's brave of you for you to say that. And it shouldn't be in that sense, because I still think there's a bit of a stigma from a mental health standpoint that going to a therapist means that, you know, you've got some things seriously wrong with you. And that's not the case. People need people to talk to. You're a giver, like as far as a leader, you're giving your all to like your people, to your clients, you know, to the work that you do every single day. Also, like to your partner, to your husband, giving a lot in that relationship. You need someone to listen to you, right? Like you need someone to give to you so that, you know, you're also filling your cup back up, which is awesome. It's great that you're doing that.
That was exactly it. And you can probably imagine, I learned the hard way from crashing and burning, but it's made such a big difference. And I'm happy to share with anyone that will listen.
That's amazing. Last question for you. So we've got less than 100 days on 2020. A lot of strategies and goals have been hijacked this year due to, you know, obviously COVID, economy, children at home, not at school, vacations canceled, you know, companies folding up, etc. It's been kind of a tough year for everybody. You've got less than 100 days left on 2020. What's a goal that you want to get accomplished between now and December 31st?
That is such a great question. And I know the answer because my goal was to reintroduce a bit more fun back into our lives. And I mentioned earlier, love to travel, love to explore. And of course, that's a little bit more difficult now. And New Zealand, we're really fortunate from a COVID perspective. But Ed, my husband, we booked in a bit of an adventure around New Zealand of some kind of bucket list things around here that we've really wanted to do. And with his newfound health, some physical things that we can do. So we booked in one of the Great Walks, which goes through, kind of like really lush New Zealand terrain down on the South Island. And we'll be staying in Department of Conservation huts and then doing a bit of a road trip down to Fiordlands and Sounds. And there's 1,000 reasons why we couldn't do it, but we're doing it. And that's, again, filling up our own bucket so we can come back into the new year raring to go.
Sounds fabulous. I'll have to get notes from you on your itinerary.
Yes, and come when things change.
I'd love to come. As soon as we can fly, as soon as it's safe to fly, whatever that looks like in the new normal. So Kalyn, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate you sharing your 3 uniques and more about you, your life, everything you're sort of going through right now. And I just appreciate your authenticity and just how you show up every day. You're still the same Kalyn that I know. So it's been awesome reconnecting with you.
Thanks for having me, and so nice to connect. Thanks, Brenda.
You're welcome. And everybody that's tuned in, thanks again for tuning into 3 uniques. Just remember, just like Kalyn, like share what makes you powerful, what makes you unique, your skills, your talents, your experiences. Everybody needs them. There's 7.5 billion people on this planet. Somebody needs what you've got. Take care, everyone.